Hi there, in this video we're going to talk about like terms. So we have to really figure out what are like terms. So in order to kind of answer that question, we're going to go through a couple other vocabulary words that are going to be commonly used throughout your whole math experience so that you can kind of get an idea of when somebody says constant or variable or term that you know what they're talking about. So right here, we look here and our first word is constant. So a constant is just a number, like a plain number. Like literally, you could write the number 4. 4 is a constant. 100 is a constant. It's just one number. Now if we look at variable, the next definition written here, a variable is going to be a letter. So the letters that are most commonly used in math are X and Y. You can use W. You could use P. Literally, you could choose a letter. That's going to be a variable. The reason we represent variable with a letter is because variable means it's something that's changing, that we could plug in different numbers for. So we use a variable, a letter, to represent that, something that's changing. Constant is something that stays the same. Variable is something that's changing. Okay, so term. So what we do to make a term is it's either a constant by itself, or constants and variables either multiplied or divided together. So a term could be something like 2x. You could have a term 7w. You could have 21z. Okay, that's going to be a term. Now, you come down here, and we're going to look at this word expression. Expression means we're going to take my terms and we're either going to add or subtract them together. Oh, and by the way, a term, you could also divide. So you could have something like y over 6 or 2 over x. Okay? So a term, we're multiplying or dividing our constants and our variables. Now our expression is the next level. Now we're going to take our terms and we're either going to add or subtract them together. So an expression, I could do like 6x plus 2. Or I could use two of my terms that I wrote up here, 2x minus 7w. So I'm either adding them or subtracting them together. That's what it means to be an expression. Okay, so you might say, well, all right, now what? So the next thing, or kind of what our whole idea of this lesson is what is a like term? So like terms are terms, which we just talked about, that have exactly the same variables. So I wrote down 3 examples for you. And let's decide if they're like terms or not. So I'm going to look here and I'm going to look at my variables. So like terms have the same variable. So here in this term I have an x, and in this term I have an x. Because they both have x's, they're considered like terms. Yes. Okay, let's look at my next one. I have a y here, and I have a y here. Doesn't matter about the number in front. You just want to look at the variable. So here I have a y. Sorry, you can see it. Here I have a y, and here I have a y. So that means because they're both y's, they are like terms. Yes. All right, now we look down here at this one. Here I have a 6, I have an x, and 11w. So I want to know, is x the same as w? No, they're not. Here's where it can get a little bit tricky. What if I gave you 4x squared and 8x? They have to be exactly the same. So this variable here is x squared. This variable right here is x. X squared is not the same as x. So these ones are not like terms. Okay? Exactly the same variable. And that also means it has to have the same exponents too. So why do I care about like terms? I care about like terms because I can combine them together. I add them or subtract them together. So if I come back up to my examples up here, I have 4x and 10y. I'm sorry, 4x and 10x. So let's just say I'm adding them together. How much is 4x plus 10x? So I'm going to add together the numbers out in front of my like terms. So what's 4 plus 10? 14. And you can kind of think of variables like something that you were counting, okay? So let's just say X stands for xylophones. Here is telling me I have 4 xylophones in one pile, and in another pile I have 10 xylophones. I want to put them all together in a pile and see how many xylophones do I have. Well, I add them all up, and together I'm going to have 14 xylophones. But let's just say I have 4x, and then we look at something that's not like terms. We'll go 6z, okay? So that's saying in this pile right here on the left, I have 4 xylophones. And in this pile right here on the right, I have 6 zebras. And we can just pretend that they're like toy zebras, not real life zebras. So in my pile, I'm going to now put them all together, dump them in one big pile. How many xylophones do I have? Well, I still have 4 xylophones. And how many zebras do I have? I still have 6 zebras. I didn't add any more to it or take any away. So when you're thinking about like terms, you can also think about it as groups of things that you're adding together that are the same, because I think that can help you. And you can pick, you can pick anything. Like I try to pick something that starts with the same letter. So if I happened to be working with W's, and so let's just say I had 11 W's plus, actually let's just do a subtraction, minus 3 W's. Okay, so in one pile I have 11 W's here, and then in this pile over here I'm taking away 3 W's. So in my pile I have 11 watermelons, and then I'm removing 3 watermelons from that. How many watermelons am I going to have left? I'm going to have 8 watermelons left. Or if you look at it this way, without thinking about it like that, I have to take 11 minus 3, and 11 minus 3 is 8. So you can think about it any way that you want. The general idea is you want to combine together your like terms, and that's called simplifying an expression. But if you don't have like terms, then you can't combine them together. So that's why it's important to know what a like term is. Please let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.